Welcome to the Gym Life Podcast. Welcome everyone to the Gym Life Podcast. My name is Mike McErlane with you. I'm actually super excited today because we have somebody who I've really gotten to know over the last couple of weeks, and he's been even before you here. So Isaiah Miranda, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So brief history on my relationship with Isaiah, and then I'm going to literally turn it over to him because everything you do is actually just you've become like such a bright light within the space. It's really cool. For those of you who don't follow Isaiah, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, the media that you create is amazing. So how we met was actually through a mutual friend and one of our athletes, Kevin Lowe. And so Isaiah started coming in here and shooting content, and so we have obviously the access to the gym and the facilities here. And I just love having people come in. It just, you never know what kind of paths cross and what opportunities are going to present themselves. So that's how we kind of met. And now you're kind of officially a part of working with.
I am officially a part.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's been 2 months now, which is crazy though, because most people, like, you were letting me come here for like, 2-3 months? When I wasn't even affiliated.
Longer than that.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying before I was even affiliated with Gym, with Gym, like officially, which is cool because I was with the other companies, I was with other supplement companies, and it was never like, oh, you can come here if you sign. It was just like that. Yeah, but that's what I love about this place, though.
Yeah.
It's because it's just very like, you're a good person, same morals, same ethics. Why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the best way to do it.
Paths are going to cross if you have. It's kind of like a magnet, I kind of believe in that. Mm-hmm. That there's always certain things within, I think, certain cultures kind of bring good people together. And then if you have a good culture, then it's going to provide some type of opportunity, perhaps, so that those people can work. It's much like what happens here with, like Ryan Sorensen, for instance. And for those of you who don't know, so Ryan Sorensen, he's one of the trainers. He trains a lot of the Los Angeles Rams. And their headquarters is located, within a 5-minute drive of here. Mm-hmm. But he needed a place to, kind of train some of the guys, that wanted to do a little bit different atmosphere. But it's great. I love it. I mean, I love having the energy of people coming in here.
No, it's great. Because the good thing I like about this place is, first of all, what I love about the gym in general is everyone works out. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what field you're in. It doesn't matter what your occupation is or whatever. And then, especially here, you have all these people working out that you let them come in, whatever, and they're all in different fields, but they're all a beast in that field of what they do. Yeah. They're all like the top of whether it's finance or they're selling books, they're in the gym, supplements, real estate, whatever it is. Yeah. Everyone's a fucking animal. Am I allowed to curse on this pod?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone's a fucking, I should have known with this guy. You don't want to know we're talking about before. They're talking about bleaching assholes before this. But I'm just saying, everyone's a fucking animal here, and it's just motivating, whether it's, doesn't even have to correlate to working out. You know what I mean? It's just like, I know you're good at this. That's going to push me to work harder at this thing over here. Yeah. And this atmosphere is fucking great.
It's a good place. I think it's been like a natural progression versus something that's forced. And that's what I like about it too. And you've heard me say this, like I'm the most blessed person because I run to work every day. And even though that, I have, as we've talked before, I get frustrated, like everybody else when it comes to certain things based on.
But you get frustrated because you care so much. Right. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think if you can't get emotional about what you do, then you don't really give a damn about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And when I tell you this, when he says he runs to work, I'm not joking. You are one of the most energetic people I know, which is crazy. Like, it's always fucking high energy. It's always a smile. It's always, what are we thinking? Let's work on this. Let's do that. Oh, it's great.
But that's what I love about you. So when we start working, we're going to do so much content together. Yeah. So Isaiah, I think it was like last week, we were talking about ideas because he does, if you look at his media, he does like some of these sketch comedies. Is that probably
the right? Comedy skits, yeah.
They're hilarious. Yeah, I mean, and so you and Mark Harley, so we actually have Mark as well. We brought him on too. And the two of them together, the content they make, it's almost like the things that everybody does or knows in the gym. And then, you just make like an entire skit about it that just highlights that experience to like such a hilarious level.
Thank you.
And it's enjoyable content. And it's funny because my son and his friends, they all follow you too. So my son's 10, and you see I work with the kids in here.
Yeah.
So it's funny because even this weekend they were talking about, they're like, oh yeah, like we trained the plays and Isaiah and Mark are in there and they get to shoot content. So it's a little bit of a celebrity factor.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But the nice thing is you're never short on ideas. And that's, I swear to you, is the secret to, if you want to find success, if you're the type of person who doesn't know how to have an idea and then immediately execute upon it, it's going to be very hard for you to get along.
It is.
And so Isaiah sent me like this text and he goes, hey, say this in your notes. And it was like 15 video ideas of things that we can do that correlate with what you're doing, with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, this is finally, there's somebody here who gets it. Like, it's so nice.
No, but it's easier to get it with people that also get it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because you're not a small-minded person. You're not closed off. Because I've worked with a bunch of people, and nothing's worse than when you're working with someone that has an ego, and that's like, oh, we can't do that idea. Oh, this isn't fit. Or my idea is better than yours. It's the worst fucking thing you do, and I hate working with people like that. Which is the complete opposite of what you are here, and just I think Jim is in general.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jim's like that too, Stamani.
He is. He's awesome. Like he actually did. And perfect examples we're gonna do. So he and I always go back and forth through text, and so this weekend, it was actually pretty funny. I was going to bring this up to you. So there's so we've never used arginine. You ever heard, arginine? No. So arginine, AAKG, alpha ketoglutarate. So arginine has been used for years as a pump agent, or a pump agent in terms of an ingredient. It's used in a ton of pre-workouts.
When you say pump, why'd you do quotes?
Well, because it doesn't really do that.
Oh, okay.
And so, but a lot of people have been marketing it. First came out, there was a company called MRI when I first started working for Muscle and Fitness, and a guy by the name of Ed Bird, he brought this to the market. Okay. And it was called NO2. It was exclusively sold in GNC. They were horse capsules. And you had to take like 4 of them, but they were massive. And all it was AAKG, or arginine alpha ketoglutarate. And but the research that Jim has done on this one ingredient shows that arginine isn't really taken up by the body very well, so the body rejects it, versus something like citrulline malate, which is what we use. It kind of gets in. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It gets in, right? It gets into the corral without being. It goes undetected, and so that was always our choice, or Jim's choice, for an ingredient that's going to enhance the pump. Well, research just came out this past week, I guess, and Jim highlighted it, that it actually compared the two, and it showed that arginine virtually does nothing.
Really?
So it just kind of goes back to show you that, like with Jim's like laughing, goes, yep, here it is. So he did a whole video on it, which we're going to kind of get behind, just to show you like certain ingredients that are very, very, I guess, popular or widely used. The problem with the supplement industry is that these people, first of all, if you could tell me what expert is formulating all these other brands, I would literally give you $1 million.
Oh, are you talking about like the people behind the company?
Yeah, behind the company. It's like, who formulated that? Okay, that they have no idea. Like I just saw something recently. So arginine was one of these things that it's not very good at what it's supposed to do. In other words, there's better options.
This is the pump one?
This is the pump one. And so Jim did this video. I'm like, oh my God, this needs to be a campaign. I'm like, we could get Isaiah to kind of like do something. I'm always thinking of ways to like not only just get the message out on like, here's the facts, but now that you're here, it's like, oh, Isaiah could really blow this up if we did it that way.
Yeah. So just refresh it. Arginine is something that all these companies are using in their products, but it actually doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Same with augmentine. So there's certain ingredients that do certain things or claims.
Cheaper?
It depends on the form, I think. It's more of like a buzzword, It's like if you hear like creatine, obviously, creatine. And so everybody's like, oh, I need to get creatine. So a lot of companies sell creatine by itself.
I was going to ask, why is that? And why doesn't Jim do that? Because I noticed we don't have that.
Yeah, well, a creatine product alone doesn't do anything without what's called a cofactor. So you need something to kind of hold its hand. Suppose that's maybe a bad analogy, but creatine can't get absorbed by the body without having something like leucine or for instance, like a branched chain amino acid. Leucine happens to be one of the 3 branched chain amino acids, which we have in our product.
So he's a wingman, essentially.
And he's a wingman, exactly. And so back in the day, when creatine monohydrate first got brought to the market by actually a good buddy of mine who helped start EAS. His name was Anthony Almada, super brilliant guy, and I've known him for many years. And so he and Bill Phillips, who pretty much started EAS, and the same guy who brought to market the NO2 product I just mentioned, Ed Bird, happened to be there too. But these were like the original OGs of the industry. Okay. And so creatine was commercialized first by EAS in one of their products, but it wasn't just creatine monohydrate. So creatine always needs like a cofactor. Cell-Tech is another great example.
Yeah.
Cell-Tech by Muscle-Tech, essentially, that was the product that built that brand.
Uh-huh.
What was Cell-Tech? It was 30 grams of dextrose and creatine monohydrate.
Uh-huh.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Because that's the way that creatine gets into the muscle.
Because it had the dextrose there.
Exactly. It needs something to kind of, spike, insulin, and then, activate like, oh, it's going to get into the blood. Yeah. So you need that cofactor. So a lot of brands that either just sell creatine by themselves, they're selling it just based on the fact of they know that consumers know that it's an important ingredient.
But if you're not taking it with anything else, it doesn't matter.
It won't
or
do
it's
it.
Not doing the same
It won't do its job.
Okay.
It needs if you just take creatine monohydrate, theoretically you could be getting other things throughout the day that it'll allow it to do its job, but shouldn't it be formulated with something that makes sure it does its job? Uh-huh. It can't assume that individual is like, oh, we assume that anybody who takes creatine is taking protein. And protein has naturally occurring leucine in there. So, okay. Like there's always an argument to be made against,
selling it by itself.
Yeah, but it's like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like saying, yeah, I'm selling you a flashlight, but batteries aren't included.
Yeah.
It's like,
why not just make it dummy proof?
Right, exactly. I mean? It's like, oh, well, that person can go buy batteries, or, oh, that person probably has batteries in their junk drawer at home. It's like, why wouldn't you just sell them together?
Yeah. So is it a money thing?
It is. Yeah, it's a money thing, because obviously the more stuff that you have in that product, the more expensive it is. And if you're hanging your hat on just the fact of like you're selling one single ingredient, there's margin in it. But creatine alone, to be honest with you, since COVID has gone up, by like 150%. So
Why
to give you an
that?
example, supply chain.
Okay.
So creatine, a lot of it actually comes from overseas. A lot of it is sourced overseas, and much of the ingredients have been transitioned to be sourced from overseas. And so during COVID, everything was kind of scarce, and so obviously with scarcity comes an increase in price.
Yeah.
And so we even saw, for instance, because we don't use creatine monohydrate in our product, we use creatine hydrochloride, which is a different type of creatine. And the reason for that is creatine monohydrate, although the data and the research is great on it, it doesn't get absorbed very well by the body. So that's the reason why you have to take, if you want to take an effective dose of creatine monohydrate, it needs to be no less than 4 grams. 4 to 6 grams is kind of like, the window that they give. And the reason for that is because, when you consume it, you're technically not using all 100% of it because it's not all soluble. It doesn't, if you put creatine monohydrate like in water and stir it, like it doesn't get absorbed, a shitload of it's going to be at the bottom of, the thing. And so that's what happens is it passes through the gut and then gets into the intestine, draws water in. And then next thing you know, you have explosive diarrhea. That there's a certain percentage of it that's not being utilized by the muscles the way that you would want it to. So you have to take more in order for it to be effective. But with creatine hydrochloride is essentially a creatine monohydrate with a hydrochloric acid, which makes it acidic. So if you look on the pH scale, things that are acidic dissolve pretty quick. Salt, right? For instance, right? So salt and flour, right? You look at flour, put flour into like water doesn't mix well.
No.
Put salt, it does. So those are kind of opposite ends of the pH scale. So creatine hydrochloride sits on this end.
It's on that side and monohydrate's on the other end?
Yeah, exactly. And so...
is one more expensive than the other?
There is. And creatine hydrochloride is actually much more expensive.
Yeah, the way you said I was like, it probably is more expensive.
Yeah, it is.
That's probably why companies don't use it.
Many don't. Jim was actually the one, you could call him essentially like the godfather of creatine hydrochloride. There was a company that... back when he and I were at Muscle and Fitness, it was Concrete. I don't know if you ever heard of that brand. So they exclusively sold creatine hydrochloride. So they had a deal, and that's the way the supplement industry works. It's like there's always, it's very hard, I will say, very hard to kind of navigate the waters, especially if you don't know how to. It's like, swimming in a current that's just all around you going in different directions and you've never swam in it before. You can drown quite easily, especially with some of the players in here. And that's the interesting thing. As long as I've been doing it,
you've been there for a while.
We navigate. Well, I was on one side of the business to where I worked with a lot of these brands. I worked with over 400 brands.
That's crazy.
In 10 years. And so you kind of get to know the landscape.
How is that even possible? What do you mean 400 brands in 10 years?
So being at Muscle and Fitness Magazine, every single brand in the industry wanted to, like that. If you wanted success from, the late 90s all the way up until, 2008, 2009, 2010, the way to, if you want to get in this industry, you're like, okay.
Muscle Fitness?
Yeah. How am I going to get awareness of my brand? Well, that was the place.
Oh, it's to be put on
to advertise
in the magazines.
To be put in the magazine. So you buy the ads, and you obviously, and so when people would buy the magazine, who was writing the magazine? It was Jim. When people were reading like, hey, the 5 must-have supplements to take before a pre-workout.
Jim's writing that?
Jim was the one writing
for
that.
These companies?
No, for Muscle and Fitness.
Oh, he worked for Muscle and Fitness too.
Yeah. So Jim and I worked for Muscle and Fitness together.
Before Jim was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now
He was so Jim was a research scientist at Yale,
which is crazy. Guys, does he look like a research scientist?
No,
No, he doesn't. But apparently, he's the smartest guy in the fucking world.
He's in this industry. He's pretty fucking bright.
Yeah. So he was at Yale.
So he was at Yale.
Went to Yale.
He went to UConn to get his PhD, and he worked at Yale.
Oh shit!
Big difference, right? That's like saying, "Hey, I got my pilot's license." It's like good, and then one guy he's like, "Yeah, well, I went to the moon." It's like, yeah.
Okay.
So Jim for research. So when he was at Yale, he was doing research. He was an award-winning research scientist. So he won the Gatorade Sports Science beginning researcher of the decade or whatever it was. Like for his research he was doing. And then he did a lot on hydration. He actually got contracted, I believe, by the Department of Defense to do research for the soldiers who were fighting in the wars over in the Gulf. And so obviously with the extraneous conditions, the heat, so they contracted.
Did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so he did some
crazy.
of the leading research there. And then he was always a fan of bodybuilding. And then Joe Weider, the guy who founded the fitness industry, Mr. Olympia, brought Arnold over, started Muscle and Fitness Magazine, Men's Fitness, Shape, every fitness publication, in the world pretty much started under Joe's realm. So Joe contacted Jim and said, hey, we need a senior science editor. We need somebody to move out to California, and essentially all these magazines I have Muscle and Fitness, I have Men's Fitness, Shape, Fit Pregnancy, Flex Magazine, LaCroix, Flex Magazine, all these different lifestyle fitness publications that talked about, hey, if you're a bodybuilder, here's workouts, nutrition, supplements. If you're a men's fitness guy, workouts. So everything was under, supplements, workouts, nutrition. That was the core product offering that Weider Publications had. We're going to tell you how to work out, how to eat right, what supplements to take. So we call that endemic, which means it's like you pick up a golf magazine, it's all about golf, right? Pick up a flying magazine, all about flying. And so the advertisements in there are predominantly about fitness. So you pick up a Muscle and Fitness magazine where Jim is saying, here's the 5 ingredients that need to be in a pre-workout. You need branched chain amino acids, beta-alanine, betaine, citrulline malate,
Yeah.
creatine, right? He couldn't name the product because that's kind of, he couldn't do that. And so it was my job to go out and find the brands who are like, hey, Cytosport, you have, this product and it happens to have creatine in there. You want to advertise right next to Jim's article where he's talking about it, and you can advertise, your product right here. Or hey, Muscle Tech, you want to do, so
you ran all that?
Yeah.
That's fucking great. At first, I didn't even know there was 400 supplement companies.
Oh, dude, there's way more than that.
Now?
Oh yeah, there's hundreds, dude. I mean, there's probably thousands. I mean, that you haven't even heard about.
Yeah. Because none of them are gym.
No, they're not.
That's why. But honestly, because I mean, you obviously talked about it. I know you in the fitness industry, especially supplement industry, you hate it. Well, you hate a lot of people in it. Why? Or companies, let's say.
I hate what they do.
It's because they're selling a false promise. They're selling.
Yeah,
they're not being truthful.
Exactly,
right?
And it really pissed me off. I mean, you've heard this say. So I was working to help market a lot of these brands through Muscle and Fitness, and then around 2005, this new thing called the internet. You know, and more importantly, websites started popping up. So then I took over muscleandfitness.com, Flex Online, Muscle and Fitness Her. So those were the three brands I worked on. So now I'm able to decide whatever I want to do online, whatever I thought it was a good idea to do online, to make information available to people who now were in search of it. You want a workout program? Go to Muscle and Fitness. You want to know what works? Nutrition and working out and supplements. So I built those sites pretty much by myself and a programmer who still works here. And then Jim was the only person who I worked with on content. And because he was such a, as you mentioned, I mean, look at him. He's tattooed, he's shredded, and nobody knew that back then because he wasn't featured in the magazines that way. He was just like, here's an article written by
with his name on it.
Dr. Jim Stepani. It was a by Dr. Jim Stepani. So everything.
Did they not want to put a picture of him, or
they didn't know, dude? Nobody in the building knew he was tattooed or even he was in shape.
Shit. Okay. Was it something he would try to hide or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because he wanted to.
Because that's something you should not hide. That's something. Maybe. Back
no,
then.
dude. Yeah. I said the same thing. I was like, how the fuck? So we went down to Houston, Texas to do an event with Powerhouse Gyms.
Yeah.
And I picked him up from the airport, and he walks out like in a t-shirt and shorts because like 110 degrees. And I'm like, what the?
Oh, is it the first time seeing him?
Yeah, it's like 6 years into it, dude.
That's crazy.
And like he gets in the car.
Fuck is this guy?
He gets in the car, and I'm like, "What's up, Jim?" He's like, "Hey." I'm like,
"You look like that?"
Dude, I didn't know what to say. And like Gunther Schlitterkamp, I don't know if you know Gunther. So Gunther was one. He was you ever see Beer Fest? You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Das Boot, the big German dude in
shit,
here.
Is that him?
That's Gunther.
Oh shit.
So so Gunther, we flew him down too. So Gunther and Jim walked in, and then Gunther's like in the front, Jim's in the back, and I'm just like, and Gunther's like, I think he goes, "Jim, I did not know that you had tattoos." And Jim's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, what the like, dude, what's up?" And then we went to this event, and then Gunther was talking about, oh, you think like all the gym's going to be inspired and in awe of Gunther, and they kind of were. But then we're like, hey, here's Dr. Jim Stepani. He's going to get up and answer any questions. The entire fucking gym stopped.
Yeah.
And they all just kind of walk, and he's just like answering questions like, oh, I take this much protein, and I'm taking this. What you think I should do? And he's just popping off all these answers to these people.
And everyone's like just listening, just
and I'm like, oh fuck.
Was that the moment you're like, this is
yes,
something?
100%.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's my camera?
Yeah, right.
Like, I need.
I mean, no, because that's someone that's like you take it causes a second glance. Do you know what I mean? That's why I think it was so fucking smart. You guys put him on, like the company on the brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you see it, you're like, no one looks like that.
It's a dichotomy.
And he's a doctor.
Yeah, you're like, wait. He's a PhD.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he looks good as fuck too.
He looks good as fuck.
Like his body, the tattoos, the bald head, the beard. It's fucking great.
And so it was a good look, and plus he was truly like the source. And so long story short, so that's what started like his kind of path to awareness was through things he and I would do. And then from then I actually built his website, jimstepani.com, while I was there. And so we would be like, hey, if you want, more expert advice, go to jimstepani.com, and you get, information and workouts, and I built his app and all that. So that was like a separate business that we were running. But I was working, so supplements never were really like my thing. I never really knew. I was always like, hey, I got all these, my boys, like these like everyone who I knew in the industry, they're like friends, and they would send me product and all this stuff. And I'm like, so my supplement cabinet in my office at Muscle and Fitness, I mean, imagine like this wall over here was like big. It looked like a GNC shelf.
Yeah,
yeah. And so I was up with Jim every single day, like, hey, dude, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he's like, no, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that.
So this is before JYM Supps was a thing?
Oh, yeah. This was like years before.
Okay.
So this is 10 years we were there. So we were there I was there from 2002, 3, right around then, till December 2nd, 2014 is when was my last day. We started JYM in 2013. There's a little story around there too. But so I was like, I loved what I did.
Yeah.
We helped run the Mr. Olympia, just absolutely loved it. But I started realizing, like, dude, he would never recommend anything I would ask him to take. He's not saying, here, this is a good product.
Yeah.
Right.
So I started to click, like, everything I'm taking, he's saying he wouldn't take. That must mean something.
Right.
He looks like that, and he's so smart.
Right. And then,
why don't you have your own company?
Well, that's kind of what, like, he's
like, was that the conversation? Did you bring it up to him? Was it something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it happened like this. So what happened was like, it was kind of the tail end, and we were doing all this stuff online. He ended up getting on bodybuilding.com, which was the largest fitness website in the world at the time. And he would just write content for free. And then they would merchandise and commercialize his content. So they would do the same thing I would do in the magazine. They were just doing it their own business. So like, here's an article from Dr. Jim Stoppani, here's a workout program. And then they would commercialize what they sold on their site with that content. And then that's when I was like, and actually what happened was there was a particular brand that I came out that they had like amphetamines in their product. Essentially it was, I forget the actual ingredient, but it was what they use like in asthma patients, right? So it wasn't an OTC. First of all, it wasn't a supplement for sure. But and then I started seeing like these other brands get busted. And there was one brand in particular, we were running the Mr. Olympia show. And I remember like, dude, we ran that expo. It was like hundreds of brands show up and exhibit. And bro, dude, like the Fed showed up. Mid-show, like during the expo. And they went
looking for this company?
And they raided this one brand that I knew.
What was the brand? Can you name drop or what? I mean, it's public knowledge, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get sued. Yeah, it was, but
tell me after.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. But so they raided it, and I knew the dude. Like I took his products.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And I'm like, well, there's another one, not that one.
Okay, there's so many guys. This is the fucking problem with the industry.
Yeah, and I'm like, so there's another one, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And then they actually raided bodybuilding.com the same day in Boise, Idaho.
Oh shit!
Because they sold this product there. So like the Feds went in, they raided all, everything, and I'm just like, dude, this is like what?
This is mid-show.
Mid-show, like during that, think about like LYFE, right?
Yeah.
Imagine just a whole bunch of fucking FBI agents and fucking
that's crazy.
Barreling in and just you're shut down and taking boxes out and walking out the show.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Arresting people too, like putting them in handcuffs?
They didn't put them in handcuffs then, but they escorted them out and were asking where people were. You know, like we tried not making it a big deal because we were running the show. We didn't want to draw attention to it.
Oh, Chef Ray, you're running it.
Yeah, like it was our show, and so we didn't want that to happen. And I remember just like, dude, what the, like this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And so the magazine changed. Like they actually shut the offices down here in Woodland Hills. It was in Woodland Hills. And everything got moved out to New York. And so Jim and I were the last ones here because I ran the .coms.
Yeah.
And I did it kind of like on an island. Nobody knew what I was doing. No one knew how I did it.
No one knew who you were, your ghost.
Well, they knew who I was at the organization, but nobody it was owned by a company called American Media Inc., which owns the National Enquirer. Actually, David Pecker is testifying on,
Yeah.
So there's a anyway, so they were owned and they were based out of New York, and they wanted to move everything out there. And I get it. You know, you buy a company, you want to kind of bring it out.
Yeah.
So I did everything on the .com, and much of the content I did was my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my IP. My own website was kind of like they were licensing technology from me that I was using to create workout programs. So essentially when you went to Muscle and Fitness and you're like, hey, I'm going to download workout programs that are featured in the magazine, that was my own website that I owned.
Yeah.
And then we kind of embedded everything together to create muscleandfitness.com. So all this content was commercialized by myself, and then the people who were spending money for the advertisements were a part of that. And so Jim, I was just like, so he started really gaining popularity, and then I heard that somebody there was a guy who we knew in India who had been talking to Jim, and he was licensing the Muscle and Fitness brand to produce and publish the magazine in India. And he knew Jim; he was a big fan, and it came across my desk that he was propositioning Jim to do a supplement in India. Oh shit! And I was already mad because I'm like, well. And then all these other brands, what I was doing is all these brands, like Concrete was one of them, BPI was another, and all these other brands were like, hey, you know, why don't we do something with Jim, and he can be like an athlete, you can be like his manager, ProLab, you know. And so Jim was actually Scivation, their Extend, Jim formulated that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, I know it's changed since then, but back in the day, it was owned by a guy, Mike McCandless. He owned Scivation and Primaforce. The two brands before he sold them off, and those brands are now owned by Nutrabolt, who owns Cellucor C4.
Oh shit! Okay.
So same ownership owns all those brands, and that's the other thing too.
Wait, so it's the same owner of this one supplement brand owns all these other supplement brands?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why not? Why?
Optimum Nutrition owns BSN.
Really? Well, so it's the same products, just a different brand.
I mean, maybe the formulas are slightly different.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
That's just a money thing.
It's a monopoly thing.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I mean, good for them. You know,
they make money.
Yeah,
business.
I mean, it's fine, but like, it's just there's certain aspects of it in which that's why I always ask, like, who owns the company that you're
chasing all these products?
Yeah, like, who are these people?
Yeah,
you know, and so I knew all this, and so I was propositioned to. So Jim helped Concrete with their creatine hydrochloride, because that's kind of where it started. Yeah. I know this is going long, but.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, so Jim helped them really become a thing. They were like on bodybuilding.com, I think they were the 120th best-selling brand on their site when I started doing the marketing with Jim and them, because Jim really liked their ingredient, and they're the only ones who could sell that type of creatine. They jumped to number 2 in 6 months.
Damn, that's crazy.
They went from 120 to number 2 in 6 months.
As soon as Jim got behind it?
As soon as Jim got behind it.
That's
as soon as he did.
Crazy.
And then with that, I got propositioned, Jim and I got propositioned from BPI, because two of the guys who I knew, one I used to work with, a gentleman by the name of James Grage, partnered up with another guy, Derek Ettinger, who, I don't know if he's still the CEO there or not. And so I did a lot of work with them. I did a lot of marketing and helped them really, because they were the ones who really jumped on board on the online stuff. But they did stuff with Jim. I think I even showed you the book that they produced in my office with Jim on the cover, you know. And so he's like, you know, why don't we do something with you and Jim, and I'll get behind the brand and all that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So anyway, so that's when I'm like, look, Jim, why don't you and I just figure out how to do this alone? Like, your formula, so you could finally say, this is what I recommend.
Yeah. This is what I take and this is what I recommend.
Yeah. And the thing is it's bulletproof, because no one can say that you sold out, because here's 10 years worth of magazines. You can go in my office, Isaiah, grab any Muscle and Fitness from like 2006, and it'd be like, here's the 5 ingredients that you need to take pre-workout. It's the same ones that are in pre-gym.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've seen it. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, you know, that's why I frame all those articles. So we've been like, before we even had a brand, he was saying, do this. It wasn't like a secret.
Yeah.
It's just nothing that he recommended matched what should be in a bottle. And so he's like,
in these magazines, he said everything that he would take and would need, whatever, all the facts, but no one ever just did it.
No, it was too expensive.
That's why.
It's way too expensive.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like most companies, you know, they
cut corners.
Yeah. No, I can honestly say, since before I was even switched over to Jim, I was taking your guys' supplements even when I was with another company. You know what I mean? Because I genuinely fucking love them, and everything's so, it has all the ingredients, and the way you explain it to me, and just like everything, you could just see it right there in the bottle, and it feels good. You feel great.
Well, plus like you couldn't take whey before, right?
No, you don't shit your pants. You know when you take whey.
But you were a big plant guy, right?
Yeah, I could, because I think because whenever I took whey, it would fucking fuck my stomach up.
Right.
Like I would take whey and be so bloated and disgusting, and I literally would shit right away.
Yeah.
I still love the plant protein. The best vegan protein, plant protein, guys, I swear to God, we have oatmeal cookie, crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
But the whey flavors are so good, and they mix really well in protein oatmeal and protein and creamer rice.
But you can actually take our whey protein.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah.
There's no concentrate.
I drink both, but it's because concentrate is cheaper, right?
Concentrate, if we sold, like, if this tub right here. So this is our Pro Gym, the blend, right? So where to look for the concentrate is right back here. So what we started doing is doing just what I'm about to do right here. How we made an impact was like, all right, here's our protein, big deal. What we would say is, hey, look, this is Pro Gym. If you're taking away protein and you have stomach issues or you can't take it, you feel bloated, chances are you're taking away protein concentrate. How do you find out? Turn your label around. By law, every company has to have ingredients right under here. And if it says whey protein concentrate, which it likely does,
wear your pants.
That's
the reason. Most likely.
It's a cheap form of protein. Right? And why is it cheap? Well, because they don't isolate just the protein. They leave in, carbs and fat, the lactose. And so at best, you're going to get about 80% of what's in there is protein. The rest of it is
fillers. Yeah,
it's like lactose. It's not been taken out. The processing of it is not just focusing on just the protein. And so, it's cheaper to do that because it's not as an intense type of a process to kind of make sure that you're extracting just the protein. It's not just isolate. That's why whey protein isolate, like that word means something. Other forms of protein like casein, milk protein isolate. Again, these are types of protein in which the byproducts are taken out. So most brands don't do that.
Yeah.
You look at any brand on a shelf and they'll include whey protein concentrate.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with it because it's like, well, don't you want to take the best?
Yeah, that's true.
Like as an owner?
These owners probably aren't even taking their own
No,
product.
they don't.
Yeah.
That's the
crazy thing.
Even look at them. The ones that are running around trying to market their own products, these guys are so, like, they're on so much TRT and so much gear.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I'm a fluffy little butterball, but like,
you hold it good though.
I try to. I'm pushing it. And that's the thing too, is like Jim, dude, he is 365. Like the thing about Jim is that he is, first of all, he's all natural. Okay. Like he'll admit back in the day when he was competing, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. But he's like, dude, I can't get on a cycle or anything like that and have these ups and downs because I have to be at low percentage of body fat with the most muscle at his age 365 days a year because we shoot with him all the time.
Yeah.
And so he can't have these cycles and flows. It's just, you talk to him, he's fucking miserable when it comes to,
it's
like
a lot.
He's miserable. Usually he's pissed off because he's always like,
sub 8% body fat.
He's always like trying to find in that, and especially as I said, as he's getting older, it's getting harder. And he's actually had a lot of allergies as a result. I mean, he couldn't even drink Pro Gym for the last like 3 years until, ironically enough, the chicken industry took a shit and eggs are scarce.
Yeah.
So we recently had to remove the egg white protein because we couldn't produce our product with it.
Yeah.
So, now he's like, well, it's kind of a good thing in his mind because now he can take his own protein.
Well, because did he have allergy to eggs?
He developed an allergy to eggs.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and it was because he was consuming so much of this stuff. I think he just literally developed an
allergy. Yeah. No, it's probably what it is. I'm not joking, guys. It's so fucking addicting. I'll have it like 3 times a day. Yeah. Just because it tastes so good, and obviously to get protein in. But
well, tell me a little bit about yourself, though, dude. Like, I'm curious. I think that you can ask me, like I told you before, you can ask me anything you want, and I love talking about this, obviously.
No, that's why it's so fucking interesting to me, because I can admit it firsthand, I love working out, love blah, 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 take supplements, whatever, but I'm not a scientist. I don't know about ingredients. Right. And I think the majority of people are like that.
I'm not either, but that's the reason why it worked. Honestly, my ignorance, I tell Jim, I said, my ignorance as a consumer served this company the best.
Yeah.
Because like, and you do that, like when you and I have a conversation, I can tell that we're kind of looking at the same thing. It's like, I say certain things, you're like, okay, but how am I going to explain that to like
exactly
my girlfriend?
Yeah, because most people, 90% of people have no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So when you sit down and actually explain it, it's like, oh, that actually makes sense. Oh,
Right.
let me read the ingredients. Oh, what does this
Right.
do? You know what I mean? Oh, I need to take this with this. Okay, that makes sense.
What's funny about it is, so we talked about creatine before, right?
Yeah.
You know why most brands like will have a pre-workout without creatine or BCAAs, but then sell a separate product with just creatine?
Yeah. Why?
It's because having it in their pre-workout makes it more expensive. They have less margin.
Yeah.
So they put out campaigns out there saying, oh, you don't need them. You don't need them because they're not acute.
Yeah.
Creatine, it takes a while for it to actually like, you know, be beneficial to you. And BCAAs, oh, you just don't need them. It's like, okay, why are you not going to put the two most studied ingredients with the most research showing their benefit? Why are you not going to put them in a product that you're going to take before or after a workout for that matter?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's more expensive.
Because they're about 30% of the cost of what's in there.
Yeah. And what I was going to ask too is our pre-workout has creatine in it.
Mm-hmm.
BCAAs have creatine in it or no?
So the BCAAs is an ingredient, and the BCAAs are in our pre-workout.
Okay.
The creatine is in our pre-workout.
Mm-hmm. Is creatine in the protein?
No.
It's in post-gym now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if you're taking the pre-workout like twice a day and post-gym? Like you're getting too much creatine? I know it's just out of the 4 to 6 range.
Not yet. Not necessarily. I mean, basically, like so certain ingredients do like things that have an acute effect, which means an instant effect, are usually things that you feel right away. Okay. Or in the case of like protein, right? Like protein is going to instantly be used into the muscle because it's a food, you know? It's a macronutrient. So when you're dealing with certain things like pre-workouts, the problem with pre-workouts is that they've gotten into this category of what they used to be, which is the reason why we even started. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, pre-workouts would come in like the smallest size because they were essentially just stimulants. And so the category itself became this like stim war. Oh, I need something that's going to give me a bump and get me through the workout. It's like, go do cocaine.
Yeah, right.
If you want that,
get that effect.
Yeah, like at least you know what you're getting, and if you can get some Columbia shit, then you know.
Yeah.
But like that's essentially what pre-workouts were being formulated for. Was just their, you know, and so the marketing, and then it was all done that we come in and we throw this dump truck scoop of nutrients. Nutrients do something that are different than stimulants. Nutrients, if taken throughout the day consistently, yes, even beta-alanine. Now, here's the funny thing about it. Look up most pre-workouts, Isaiah. All of them have beta-alanine in there. Most of them don't have creatine in there.
Because you feel it and people are like, oh, it's doing something.
Yeah. Their argument is that, well, creatine is not acute. Well, fuck, neither is beta-alanine. So why do you have it in there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because beta-alanine does have a byproduct of itself, which means you feel it instantly.
Mm-hmm. And people are like, oh, it's working.
Oh, it's working. But that feeling does nothing. It's called paresthesia. It stimulates the central nervous system so you get tingliness.
Yeah.
Right? Similar to niacin. Take a bunch of vitamin B12, you get all tingly. It's a sensory thing. That doesn't mean that niacin's good to take pre-workout, because a lot of companies put it in there if you feel it, because they're banking on the fact, oh, I feel it, therefore it's placebo.
Yeah.
So the same companies who will put in beta-alanine in their product and then justify not having creatine in there because it's not acute, well, pick which one is it?
Yeah. It's like, shut the fuck up, it's just more expensive.
Yeah. You just don't want it in there because it's going to raise your cost.
Yeah.
And you can make an argument saying you can take it, like I said, batteries not included.
Yeah.
So that's why then they sell a separate tub.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like there's no justification, there's no synergy or harmony in the formulation or even their merchandising of their own products. We formulated because we said, if you were going to be loyal to our brand, every product that we have should and could be taken with one another every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day you can take our products, and they were formulated that way. Mm-hmm. There is, for instance, it's like our multivitamin doesn't have zinc, calcium, or magnesium in it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because most multivitamins do. Why that's bad is because those ingredients fight with one another.
So it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
They're going to get kicked out the club before
they're going to get kicked. Yeah, exactly. It's like going to a club and like, hey, we're all partying up with a bunch of ingredients. Oh, hey, there's vitamin C. There's vitamin A. Oh, fuck, calcium, zinc, and magnesium got in here. They're going to beat the shit out of somebody, and then it'll happen. The club shuts down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's not doing anything.
Yeah, so they compete with other. So iron has an issue. Mm-hmm. I think it's like, I forget which, and this is why Jim's a scientist, but certain ingredients interfere with others when they're taken at the same time. Mm-hmm. So those need to be taken separately. That's the reason why, like calcium, there's 400 milligrams of calcium in here. Mm-hmm. So essentially that's an effective dose, and it's in its natural form. So in zinc and magnesium, that's why we have ZMA. Mm-hmm. Best time to take is at night.
Yeah.
So everything we do, there's a system, there's a synergy between the products. And that's the reason why when people actually take it, they feel better.
Yeah. No, you generally do. And I'm saying right now, like, I've been with a couple companies, and I've never actually felt more passionate and strongly about a company than I have with Jim.
I appreciate that.
And it comes down to you. It comes down to Jim. It comes down to the product itself. But just everything together is just like, this is where I need to be. This is where I should be. And this is where the only place I want to be.
I'm excited, dude. But yeah. So just real quick, before we kind of, tell us a little bit about yourself, though. Mm-hmm. So you're from original
Jersey.
Yeah,
I'm a Jersey.
How'd you get out here?
But not too long story. So, Jersey is in school. Fucking hated it. Always into the whole fitness thing. I just loved working out. I played sports. I played, football, divisional football, blah, blah, blah.
Where'd you play?
Rutgers. Yeah. I walked on. Walked on for a year, but then hated school so much that my grades weren't good, so I dropped out. I ended up only playing a semester. But I always thought to myself, I'm going to work out every day for free. Why not make a career out of it? Because I saw other people doing it. I saw other people, influencers at the time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I started doing it. As soon as I left Rutgers, I started my social media career. I only had like 1,000 followers at the time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I went back to community college, still trying to do the social media thing. Hated it. Hated college. I was working like 3 jobs. I was lying to my parents. So when I dropped out, lying to them, they had to have known I was in school. I was working 3 jobs and doing Instagram. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I was paying for it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, why am I going to keep wasting my money when I don't? I was changing my major 30 times.
Oh, wow.
So started doing social media. Then during the pandemic, started getting a little traction. Things started to pick it up. I actually remember specifically, it was a story I posted of me doing bent over row at Lifetime Fitness in Princeton. And it had I only had 3K followers, 2K followers, but it had like 20,000 views. I was like, what the fuck? Right. Like that was the moment I was like, holy shit, what is this? And then since then, it started slowly growing, hitting explore page, whatever. I remember I was gaining at the best, like 2,000 followers a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on Instagram, which is weird for a guy too. And I was doing TikTok too, but my Instagram was growing faster than my TikTok. And at the time, TikTok was easier to blow up.
Right.
So yeah, I was doing that. Then I started, obviously you start getting followers, started, getting in touch with some companies. Came out here for a trip one time, 4-day trip, and then had an opportunity to move in with someone. So me and my best friend stood here, canceled our flight the week before Thanksgiving of 2021. My family was pissed. They were like, what the fuck? Like, you planned that? Whatever. How are you going to do this to us? Parents being parents, they had no idea what I was doing. Just emotional, just, looking out for me. But because it didn't make sense. I don't have the money to go back. Come back. It
right.
Just made no sense. So, stood here ever since. Just keep growing my, networking, meeting people, growing my social media, getting into the acting world, taking classes, trying to, I want to be the biggest overall entertainer there is. Because a lot of people, there's, especially in the fitness industry, there's a ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these people are the same fucking person. Everyone's trying to be the same person, same attitude, whatever. And I'm like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I love fitness, and I always relate to this analogy. The same way Kevin Hart, The Rock, Mark Wahlberg, they're the biggest entertainers. They do what they do, but everyone knows how fitness is to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yep. Everyone knows they're so into it, they're so passionate about it. That's what what I'm trying to do. I want to just be the biggest person I could be, with good people around me. I have a great system, great, support group. And then always with that fitness as my backbone.
Right.
Because I'm a firm believer, whether you want to be a bodybuilder, whether you want to be a power lifter, triathlon athlete, whatever it is, fitness, or just you want to be the best finance worker, best artist, whatever it is, your health is going to let you do that longer.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? The same way you jump out of bed and run to work every morning, but you work out, it's because, and you still work out, it's because it's allowing you, it's giving that energy. It's like, and it lets you do this for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I always circle back to.
Well, everything with fitness, it does come with, it's a prerequisite for life, I think. If you wanted to have like a good life, I think fitness has to be a component of it. And plus everything, as you know, and we've talked about it, everything in my life has come because of the way of the gym.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
My wife, my career.
Because you never know, everyone works out. And you don't know who you're talking to, you don't know whose path you're going to cross. Right. You're going to pass a doctor, a lawyer, musician, just a friend, a wife. Everyone's going to be at the gym working out.
Right. And
that's the hour to 2 hours where nothing else really matters. It's just work on your fitness, work on your health, feel good, feel ready to attack life. It's a prerequisite.
Well, I tell people too, Tommy and I, Tommy Costello, who trains here, and so he's becoming one of the, he's young like you, but becoming one of the elite trainers for
really good trainer.
Really good trainer. Yeah. So he comes in here, and he and I sat down, and he kind of said, what would be your suggestion for somebody who's kind of looking for a change, kind of like a course correction or a pivot point is what I always call it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, look, if you're a 9-to-5er, go to the gym when you're either find time to do it, because what ends up happening is if you're not happy with that career choice or that job or whatever it is, there's 24 hours in a day. Let's say you work 8 hours, you sleep 8 hours. There's 8 hours in the rest of the day to where you can find something to do. So even if you have kids, if you have certain things like that, that's fine. But give yourself that hour. And what's going to happen is it's an opportunity to meet somebody who might give you a better opportunity at that place, because everybody who I know who finds joy, and joy to me is defined as what you do, not what you have. Mm-hmm. Everyone who finds joy, whether it's in their career or success, whatever it is there too. And that's how it happened for me, and that's
how it happened to me too.
Right. It's like you meet people there. Think about here. You just said it when we first started, like the guys who come in here, the people who come in here, they're giants in their field.
Yeah. Animals,
Yeah. You won't find a better place where there's probably more successful people.
Yeah. I'm saying there's something cooking in Westlake. Westlake has something going.
We do.
No, we really do. Yeah.
And it's going to get better. I think even with some of the stuff that, you and I have talked about doing, it's going to expand even more. There's a lot of good people here. And not to say that there's not good people everywhere else, but I think that the fitness community, if you can build that community through something that is difficult, that everybody understands that it's not easy, and the only way to actually get results is to be uncomfortable, it really serves as a benchmark for how you should live your life. If you're not uncomfortable, then you're not necessarily progressing. If things are easy, then you know where you're at, and you're never really going to move anywhere else.
Yeah. No, I think that's the biggest thing is to just keep working, and just to you shouldn't be content. Or you shouldn't be complacent. That's the biggest thing. Or you shouldn't have, and also having an ego. I think the ego is the biggest killer of any type of growth. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about here. Everyone's a giant here, but no one has an ego.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's like even some of the guys here that I was talking to, beast at what they do in their field, and they give me advice, trying to help me. But then the way they talk, I'm so much younger. They're like, oh yeah, but you're great at what you do, and I could use some help in social media. Do you know what I mean? So everyone. Just do not have a fucking ego.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like if you are a master,
you're good though. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
Be confident in yourself. I know I'm very good.
Absolutely.
I know you're good, but we don't have an ego. You know what I mean?
Well, the with what you just said, the confidence attracts other confident people to the table. Mm-hmm. The ego, it basically it's like a wall. Mm-hmm. So I don't care how much maybe you think you have to offer, if there's something standing in the way that's not allowing other people to be able to come to you, you're going to deflect that opportunity
100%.
And so even with you, I mean, on the social media stuff, you've helped solve, I think, a lot of potential you've helped solve answers to potential problems that we might look to as an organization, just by way of saying, hey, I have a guy, and like Chandler, for example, and some of these other people. Because not everybody's perfect. No organization is. There's always areas in which we can improve.
For sure. And anything in life you would always get better at. You know what I mean? And I think just being aware that one of my track coaches in high school, one of the best things I ever got told was, if you want to get good at something, look at someone who's better and follow them, and then do that, and then do that better. Right. You know what I mean? But
you said something which and I told you, I said it's rare, where if you see, like, let's say something you're good at, like you have the social media stuff and kind of your content down. I've seen you operate, and you're very hands-on, and in the way that you actually even come up with things, it's the same way that I used to do stuff with Jim, which is some of my frustration with our group here is that I'm like, guys, it's too planned, too scripted, just roll, just go. Yeah. Like, you're going to figure it out, and the product at the end is going to be anything you could ever plan for. Yeah, it's going to be way better. Yeah. Like, I think it's smart to have a plan, have an idea. Yeah, but don't general concept. Don't stick to it, though. Nah. Because what I might think is funny, just in my content, what I might think is funny, no one else thinks is funny. Right. Or what everyone else thinks is funny, I've never even thought of. And then once you do it, you're like, nah, that didn't work. Yeah. Let's do it. Like, if you can improv, some of the best comedians are the ones who actually they have the script, but they go off script all the time, dude. Yeah, it's improv. Because the audience at the end of the day is always going to dictate the outcome. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of got to be flying by the seat of your pants a little bit. But I will say very few people who I've met, very few can do that. Mm-hmm. It's like if it deviates away, it's like if they know that they have to drive down to Hollywood and they're like, okay, I'm going to take the 101 and then I'm going to... And if Waze tells them to take something else, oh my God, I'm taking a side street where it's like, dude, that's the quickest route. Yeah. I know it's not the one you planned on. Yeah, yeah. But that's the quickest route, because that route, you're going to get stuck in traffic. And I think that in business, please, if you are operating in a company or a business, you have to be able to kind of move like a blade of grass. Yeah. You got to bend and sway, because you never know which direction the wind's going to blow. So if you have a plan, just realize that it might not be the perfect plan, and that's okay. Yeah. If it gets course corrected. Yeah, yeah. I'm a pilot, so I use the analogies all the time. It's like, I'm flying. Mm-hmm. There's so much shit that can go wrong up there. If I'm like, damn it, I'm going to fly this magenta line, I might run into a fucking mountain because the wind put me off my course. You got to be able to adapt. Yeah, you have to be able to adapt. And if you can't do that, good luck to you. You will be working for somebody who's going to tell you what to do for the rest of your life. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. If that's your journey, but then you better be okay not making too many decisions in your career. Yeah, yeah. I'm saying it's something you just have to. Some people are meant for it, some people aren't meant for it. You know, someone like you is not meant for it, someone like me is not meant for it. Yeah. Not that we can't work with people, but I love working with people. Right. There's a difference. Me too. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I love being around people, I love working with people, but to take orders from someone directly, you know what I mean? It's just like when someone has the power, they're like, you're done or you're fired or shut the fuck. You know what I mean? Like you'll be in positions like that in life, but you have to be like, okay, you know. But I promise you, nobody who even in my situation, from my chair that I sit in every day, I want people to take that initiative to where I don't have to tell them what to do. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. But it's hard. Like that's the reason why I get excited about the potential that we have to do things together, because not every day or every night are you going to sit there and just have a conversation with somebody and they're going to send you a text message with 15 video ideas that you didn't have to come up with, and you love every one of them. Thank you. I think it was like 10 o'clock at night too. I was just sitting there. It was funny. I was sitting on my in front of my couch watching TV, and then I'm like, I thought about you, and I was like, why am I not just coming up with ideas right now? Yeah, I was like, that's how I do. I think Mike would love this. Yeah. No, and they're great, and I just can't wait to start shooting them. So get ready for some content on some things that we're going to be doing. But we do have some cool things planned. I know that. Outside the content, we've already talked about this. You're going to go down because I think we're going to – I'd like to – because you keep talking about blueberry muffin, right? Mm-hmm. So blueberry muffin, guys. So I think if we can that protein powder is going to be crazy. I think if we can do something like that. Yeah. See. It's going to be a hit. Now, I swear, I tell you, guys, comment, leave whatever you comment, whatever this is. Let Mike know that blueberry muffin. We want to fucking see it. I promise. Well, we got to taste it first. So I think you'll be the first one to taste it. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. You'll be the first one to taste it. Yeah. We got to make sure that the flavor scientists have that whipped up for you. So, But well, listen, man, I really appreciate it. We'll do more of these. I think it was
to.
kind of a good one to start with.
I was super interested.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to actually ask you questions and learn about you too in the company.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. My door's always open.
Yeah, but we got to do another one. Maybe learn a little bit more about me, about your.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And then, yeah.
I'd love to. Awesome. Well, hey, listen, Isaiah, thank you so much for your time. Guys, once again, it's Mike McErlane with the Gym Life Podcast.